Miami making a statement in this game, getting the win over Florida State. Final score 36-14. And there's going to be, I think, a very quick action here from the comment section to say, well, it was Florida State. Well, they've won one game. I get it. Trust me. I mean, like, hey, let's be real here. Florida State, not a good football team. Not a good football team. Maybe not a bad football program, but not a good football team this season. So what do you take away if you're Miami? Why is it a statement? We'll unpack it together. Make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Miami fans, man, y'all been good to us. Y'all been very good to us. We have had a lot of y'all make this your home for college football content, for Miami Hurricane content. Thank you for that. And if you haven't yet joined your fellow Hurricane fans and subscribed here, now's the time. So thank you for that. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter, @JDPikel. Let me know what you thought of last night's action from your Canes. So here's why I think this spot was still a little bit tricky. Now, granted, it is not as tricky as playing Vatech on a Friday night. It's not as tricky as going across the country and playing Cal at like 10:30 your time, but still, there were some parts of this that made it interesting. One, it's a rivalry game. So as bad as Florida State is this year, you knew you were going to get their best shot. Like I promised you, if Florida State had found a way to win last night, that would have like just salvaged any piece of morale that's still alive in Tallahassee. So like let that be known. Also, Florida State now, with them having one loss, they were going to, or excuse me, with them having one win, rather, big difference there, they were playing with nothing to lose. Like they were about to empty the clip. Anything they had in the playbook, anything that they had intensity-wise left to muster, they were bringing it in this spot because they would have loved to ruin Miami's undefeated season. They would have loved to be able to have bragging rights in a down year for them. Like, let's be real. That, I think, made this a little bit more treacherous. Also, Miami, let's call a spade here. Like, it felt like they've just been continuing to find ways to win, but we've questioned it openly on this show. Like, where's the competitive gas tank at? Because you see teams win close. After you win enough close games, you're like, hey, you all right? Like, that's got to be emotionally pretty draining. Credit Miami, credit Cam Ward, credit Mario Cristobal, credit that entire operation out there. They continue to throttle forward and win football games. So check that box. Okay. Competitive gas tank, got enough in there. Cam Ward was still really good last night. I mean, 22 of 35, over 200 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. It wasn't the explosion you're used to from him where he goes over 300 and throws for 4 touchdowns and like goes crazy. It wasn't that showing from him, but still to play the way they played offensively and just ultimately impose their will and straight up dog Florida State in the trenches, that to me I think said a lot about who Miami is and who this roster is, because we've seen Cam Ward, quite frankly, carry the Miami offense because they've been in positions now where they've had to ask him to carry them. They've been behind a couple of games and said, okay, if we're going to win this football game, Cam Ward, we got to throw it. So they haven't been, I don't think, as balanced as they would have liked to be. But a name that we talked about a lot during the transfer portal season when they acquired him, Damian Martinez, is a dude, and he showed it again last night. 15 carries, 9.9 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. And the play that sticks out in my mind is he gets a carry in the interior, and it looks like he's wrapped up. It's kind of a muddle, if you will. And then he spins out of it running angry downhill and goes and breaks off another. It looked like a good 30-plus yards. The way that he runs behind his pads, the way that he runs angry, I think that's kind of a subtle secondary plot to this Miami offense. Because we talk a lot about Cam Ward, and deservedly so. He is emphatically that guy and deserves every single bit of accolades coming his way, all the Heisman attention. But, like, Miami at their core is an angry, physical football team. That's who they want to be under Mario Cristobal. How do we know that? Because Mario Cristobal is from the trenches of the offensive line. Like, he cares about having that dog mentality, doing grown man things, as he would say. And I think, quite frankly, that's now who Miami was able to show they were last night. They've always been that way, just in different spots. They haven't been able to lean on that as much. Last night, they leaned on it. And again, they straight up dogged Florida State with the way that they ran the football. So, the question then becomes, well, good to see that. Do you need that again? And my answer is at some point in time, they will. Whether it's when you're playing in the ACC title game against a Pitt or a Clemson, or whether you're playing in the college football playoff, you will need to have that in your bag. And so to see it and to get into a spot where you need that again and not have that be the first time you ask Damian Martinez to run the football the way that he ran the football last night, that to me is encouraging, and that to me overall speaks volumes to what Miami still has left in the arsenal. Because again, that wasn't like wasn't the first time we'd seen Damian Martinez run that way, but I think that was the first time we had seen them really lean on him in that kind of a setting. Just kind of sprinkle this in there for those of y'all saying, well, hey, talk about Cam Ward a little more. Had a touchdown catch. Little Coral Gables special, if you will, which was impressive. But here's the thing, man. Good teams roll when they're supposed to roll. Miami, you got a 1-6 rival coming into your place. You're supposed to roll. They did. Dogged them. Now, the game itself was what it was. Like, I don't think anybody really thought that Florida State was going to win that football game going in. Definitely didn't think about it during the game. But I think what Mario Cristobal said coming out of that game is something that we said was a possibility for Miami going into the season, which is they made a statement to the trajectory of who they are and where they're headed as a program. Mario Cristobal said all recruits can now clearly see trajectory of this program versus the trajectory of other programs. Have to believe he's speaking to other programs in the surrounding area. And one, that's Mario Cristobal just capitalizing on a moment to recruit, and that shows you why he is who he is and why Miami's always going to have a top-tier roster. So that's one. But two, like, as much as that's a pitch, he's not lying. Like, he's being, I think, very transparent and honest about where Miami is right now and where they're headed, and we can see it on the field. Like, it's been a slow trend. And I mean, whenever you're climbing, whenever you're on that building process, that's when people want to throw stones, because why? You haven't arrived at the peak just yet. So they see you working on something. They see you building towards something. But because you're not a team that's won 10 football games at this point in time, because you have some things that don't go your way as you're figuring out how to win, people like to make jokes and say, oh, well, look at them trying to do this. Oh, Miami's always overhyped. They're always this. They're always that. And you throw, punchline culture out there because you didn't take a knee in certain spots last year or whatever. But now that you have gotten to this point in time where you are undefeated, where you are in this spot where I believe Miami will be a college football playoff team, and I believe win the ACC, at this point now, no one's making jokes anymore. Why? Because they see where Miami is going. And that's the competition. So if that's the competition, the recruits, the guys that are considering Miami, they see that too. Very, very clearly. And I'll say this too. If you're in the state of Florida and you're looking to stay home, you look around that state and look at the trajectory of different programs within that state, it's very difficult, I think, at this point in time to make a case against Miami with what they're doing on the field. So I cannot wait to see how they fare the rest of the year. Cannot wait to see how they trend the rest of the year. But just to see the physicality, to see them play a game and win definitively without a mega game from Cam Ward, I get Florida State's a one-win football team. They got their own issues, so don't read too deeply into that. But still, roll the team you're supposed to roll and do it how you're supposed to do it. Miami did that. Made a statement. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, @JD Patel. Let me know what you took away from last night's game in Coral Gables, or in Miami, I suppose. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.